What's a Christmas holiday without a rich, nutty, fruity, and warm spiced cake? Let's make a fruit cake. I'll be leaving the full list of the ingredients and their measurements in the description box below. For this recipe, we are going to be using all-purpose flour, butter or margarine. We're going to be needing fresh eggs, white granulated sugar, the juice of an orange, browning, raisins that have been soaked in alcohol for a while. I have a video where I showed you how to prepare raisins for a fruit cake, so you should definitely check that out. I'll leave the link in the description box as well. Cinnamon powder, nutmeg powder, cashew nut, baking powder, vanilla essence, butterscotch essence, and black treacle. You can also use molasses if you do not have black treacle. Into a dry bowl, a dry and clean bowl, sift in your all-purpose flour, baking powder, powdered cinnamon, and your powdered nutmeg. Sift this all together and set this aside as our dry mix for this recipe. Into a separate clean and dry bowl, we are going to crack in 4 of our eggs. Make sure you use 4 large eggs, guys. If you somehow, for some reason, you're not able to get large eggs, then you can use 5 medium or small eggs, okay? But if you can get large eggs, then 4 is just fine for this recipe. So you're just going to crack this in. Make sure that you do not have any eggshells in your mix. Next, we are going to add in our vanilla essence, our butterscotch essence, the juice of 1 orange, and then we are going to add in black treacle. What this does is it gives that deep flavor, color, and also adds moisture to the cake. Now, if you notice, this cake does not have milk in it or any form of liquid per se. Our liquid mix is all in here. So now, if you want your fruit cake to have a darker color, you know, there are some fruit cakes that are dark brown, some are really light brown. You can just add a little bit of browning. This is optional. If you do not like your cake looking brown, you can skip this part. But if you do not mind, then this is just to add color. Basically, it's not adding anything else to the cake other than some color. We're going to whisk this together until well combined. Make sure everything is well combined, and then set this aside as our wet mix. So now, into our dry and clean mixing bowl, we're going to add in our sugar, our white granulated sugar, and then we're going to add in our butter or margarine. You can use margarine for this recipe as well. We're going to add this in, and what we're just going to do now is cream this together. This is called the creaming method. I'm going to be using my hand mixer for this. We're going to be creaming this until the butter and the sugar are well combined, light and fluffy. Okay, you want it to be light and fluffy. Your butter would lose its color, it would start to look pale. That is what we are looking for. This is a very crucial step in making this cake because this is a butter-based cake, and again, we are not adding so much liquid in the terms of milk or water to this cake. So your cake needs to be fluffy. Your base needs to be fluffy. You have to make sure that you cream your butter and sugar well enough for it to be very light, fluffy, and airy. It helps in making your cake spongy and soft and fluffy. Okay, so I'm just going to whip this until it's well combined, light and fluffy, and then we will move to the next step. So once we are done, this is what we are looking for. You can see how it holds its peak. Then we are going to go in with our wet ingredients. So what we are going to be doing is alternating between our wet and dry mix. First, I always like to go in with my wet mix, and I'm just going to whip this in till it's well combined, and then I'm going to go in with my dry mix, alternating with my wet mix at intervals. So I did this in 2 parts. You can do this in 3 parts, 4 parts, whatever tickles your fancy really. So I'm just going to do this. The moment you start folding in your flour, you can take a pause, add in some liquid mix as well. You do not want to over mix your batter at this point. So if you notice, I'm not exactly whipping until I clear out the entire sides of the bowl of all the flour that may be there. No, we're just mixing this till it's well combined. The moment you get the bulk of your flour and egg mixture into your batter, you just stop whipping, and then you can go in with your spatula and fold it in. You do not want to over mix your cake, okay? It's going to affect the end result. When you bake your cakes, you're going to have large pocket holes, and your cake will break or it would crack during baking, and all those bad things that you really do not want to happen when you're baking a cake. Once I am satisfied with combining the bulk of the ingredients, I'm just going to go in with my spatula, and then I'm going to scrape the sides of my bowl, give this a quick mix again, and our batter is ready. So next we are going to go in with our dried fruits. Like I said earlier, I have a video where I showed you guys how to prepare your dried raisins ahead of baking, so you should check that out. Make sure you check that out. I'll leave the link to that video in the description box below. I'm going to add in some cashew nuts. You can really add in as much as you like. You can add in as much fruits as you like. You can add in some cherries. You can add in almond nuts, whatever you like in your fruit cake. For me, I do not like too much raisins in my cake, and I made this cake for myself and my family, and I just had to come to a common ground where everyone can have a good bite and a good time. Okay, my mom loves when her cake is baptized with so much raisins, but I do not, and my siblings as well do not, so I didn't put too much. However, when you're making yours, if you like your fruit cake to have so much of that, you can add as much as you like. So once we combine all of that nicely, I'm just going to transfer this into my already lined and prepared cake pan. For this recipe, I used 2 size 6 pans to get 2 nice layers of cake, and then I'm just going to make sure that this is evenly spread out in my pan. Pat your pan or hit the pan on your table to make sure that it lets out all air bubbles and it's leveled in the pan. And then we're going to bake this in our oven for about 20 to 30 minutes on low heat till your cake is golden brown but also cooked all the way through, till you start perceiving the aroma of freshly baked cake. Okay, you check your cake and you know that it is ready. I have several videos on my channel about cake baking. Remember, in the beginning of the video, I juiced an orange and used the juice of that one orange for this recipe. I made slim cuts of that same juiced orange. I placed it in my oven to dehydrate for some minutes. I'm going to be using this as a garnish for my already baked fruit cake. This is what you see on, a lot of bakers' pages when they are promoting and advertising fruit cakes. This is how they garnish. Okay, it doesn't mean that orange is inside the cake. It's just a garnish for the top of the cake. And so here our cake is ready and out of the oven. While it's still warm, you're just going to place your cut orange and some cashews and some extra raisins on top of it to look rich and nice and pretty. And then we are going to flip this over and allow this to cool completely. Okay, you're going to do this to cool completely. What is going to happen is, as it is cooling, and since the cake is still warm and soft, and as it's cooling, the cake is going to press its weight down onto these things that we just added as toppings on top of the cake, and so everything is going to stick to the cake while it cools completely, and we're going to have a nice, beautiful garnished fruit cake ready to serve. You can plate it this way for your loved ones to have a slice by themselves. This cake is very rich, it's very flavorful. There are warm spices in here, there's a mixture of flavors in here. We have fresh fruit juice, we have dried fruits that we rehydrated, we have nuts for that crunch. This cake is perfect. It's everything you want for your Christmas holidays. Okay, you can have this with a cup of coffee, you can have this just as a snack. You definitely should try out this recipe. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, share this video to your loved ones, leave a like and a comment, and I'll see you in my next video. Have a beautiful Christmas.